as there are already some professionals, academicians here. At the same time, there are some research scholars also. Let me just identify one important factor here and talk on that. That when we talk about a project in general, this word itself is very multidimensional. So by considering its various aspects, I have tried to portray the same thing throughout my presentation. So I have tried covering academics, industry, research work, at the same time the perspectives of the stakeholder also in my presentation based on project report in today's talk. So you will find some variations also in it. Let us first understand what is project basically, right? Project is a task that we take at hand in order to attain certain goal, and it is larger comparatively to the small research works such as research papers. In research papers, or let's say argumentative essay. So under the project, when we say that we are undergoing or we are conducting experiment through certain project, we first have to understand what are the things come under it. So when we think about a project, there comes a team, there comes an outline of execution of certain activity or certain research work. There comes goals, objectives of conduction of certain research, let's say. And overall, you have a target to achieve in it. At the same time, you have some tentative hypothesis in it, sort of tentative or assumptions of kind of conclusions you will have from this project. When we undergo certain projects, we always have certain kind of benefit in mind, right? And that is why we take some project in order to reach to some goal which will be beneficial to the larger scale of population. For example, large scale of academics, or might be a stream of contribution in a stream of knowledge, something like that. So these are certain things included in project. So when we think about a project, comes certain a very important factor, that is funding or investment or finances, let's say. And that is why, in order to show how we are investing those finances, at the same time, second important factor that comes along with finances is the time, because project is something which is comparatively a lengthier task. It undergoes through several days, months, or might be years also. It depends on the size and the nature of the project, right? That is why you always have to give a justification for the amount of energy, time, and money that you have invested in it. When we talk about amount of energy, here comes energy of human resource. Okay, team of people who are working in it. You have to give justification how these many people are required, why they are required, what is their role, and how they will help in the successful execution of the project, the task at the hand. At the same time, when we talk about the energy, it also consumes timeline, right? So time amount that you are spending there on that project when you are not available in other aspects of your life, right? Because you are fully involved here under some project. You are doing a research, you are conducting some experiments, and you are leading to the conclusions, or you are finishing certain module at the hand. So you have to give a justification about the time and energy that has been invested. So when we talk about the energy, important factor that comes human resource, of course. Along with that also is involved cost. So you have to give justification about the kind of money that you are spending in that project. It may be possible in certain projects you may not have to incur finances exactly, but you are using certain equipments like papers, infrastructure, or let's say furniture, or other kind of equipments. So you have to give justification about that also. So project report has multiple angles here. These are certain highlights of today's talk that we will be going through. We'll have an introduction. Already I have started with what is project and why project reports are important and so on. Then what are the primary goals of the project report? How to lead to the problem statement, how to highlight that, findings and observations, possible solutions, timeline, and then summary. So let's first understand what is project report here. Project report is a document created for a
Excuse me,
team.
ma'am.
Yes.
Can you just move the slides, ma'am?
It's not visible.
The
Is
slide
it?
is visible, ma'am. It is not moving.
Oh, cool. Okay. I'm just doing a thing. Um,
Now it has changed, ma'am.
is it changed?
Yes, ma'am. Now it is in what is a project report?
I know, but that might be not on slideshow mode, right?
Yes, ma'am. It is not in slideshow mode, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. Give me a moment. What I'm doing is I'm just sharing it with you also. 1 second. Sorry for that, because it was not visible, I guess. Uh, until you share it from your side, allow me to continue because it will otherwise kill unnecessary time.
Yes, ma'am.
Will that be fine? I'm just zooming in my screen for timing. Ma'am, just check it out if it is there on your email, and then you can share it from your side.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let us first understand what is project report basically. So project reports is a document created for a team or a company. As I told you that I am considering the industrial point of view also. So being a teacher, not necessary, you always have to write project report for the research projects or some other project that you take in your hand. But also you always have to give project reports to your stakeholders also. There are some stakeholders might be the parents or industrial experts or some other academics also who have invested or who are connected to your institution. So you always have to give project reports to them also. So I have considered here industry also, as I told you. So project report is a document created for a team or a company that ensures a project stays on the track. The project report should describe progress, milestones, and roadblocks. So it overall talks about the progress of a project, the status of the project. If the project has stopped suddenly due to certain reasons, then what are the hurdles? What are the blocks? The project report talks about that. So throughout the reading of that project report, other people also give their opinions or solutions, or you also suggest some solutions through your project report in order to resolve that block. And then you can once again begin with the progress of your project. At the same time, you are while in the ongoing of the project, you might have achieved certain milestone. You might have found something really interesting or very important, or you might have an accomplishment, finished certain part of the project, and that is also already started generating certain funding, let's say, or started helping out to the academicians or students benefit or something, or the further research also. So you have to talk about everything in it. So if something that has been accomplished, or have you faced some problem in it and how to resolve those, and what is the current condition, and if neither of these are there, then you can talk about the status, the progress of the project, when it started, and how is it going on, how it is going on, and what is the current state of it. So all these things are mentioned in your project report. Ma'am, do you want to share it from your side?
Yes, ma'am. I'll be doing, ma'am.
Okay, that's great. Let me stop the screen share then. Stop sharing. Yeah, I have stopped the sharing. Please share it from your side and let me know.
Yes, ma'am. Is it visible, ma'am?
Yeah, it's visible. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you so much. I'm sorry for the
No
inconvenience.
issue.
Let's go to the next slide, please. So these are two major primary goals of the project report. So first is ongoing project status report, which basically covers the status of the report, when it started, who is the team, I mean, introduction about the whole team members. Then it also talks about various factors involved in it. For example, if you have taken some infra, other equipments, or a certain amount of money that you have been investing in it, then everything that goes under it. At the same time, it also talks about your aims and objectives. And then majorly this online project status report talks about the amount of goals those you have achieved till date. So if it is going in the correct track or not, then others. Now understand who is the target audience for this. We will be anyways discussing that in the next slide. But understand, why do we write it out? We write it out for those who are not directly involved in the project there on field, but who are indirectly connected to your project. For example, the stakeholders or the major authorities who have given you fundings or who have allowed you to do the project or who have given you equipments or infrastructure or something like that. So this is targeted for those to understand the status and the correct and the track of the project. So they also scrutinize. There are some experts also, experts from your field who are not directly involved in the project, but they are experienced people who scrutinize the kind of achievements you have had till date in your ongoing status of the project. And they will give a comment or suggestions if your project is on correct track or not. If they find some loopholes in it, then they will give you suggestions how to overcome those loopholes or how to fill those gaps and how you can come back to the track. They also have the calculations of the kind of amount that has been lost. Now, whenever I'm saying amount, or it doesn't mean that money. Amount means your hard work, your time that has been dedicated, or the infra or human resource that you have used in it. So everything that they scrutinize through this project report. Okay, now second important primary goal of the project report is to talk about the project completion. So this report, the contents of the project completion report and ongoing report are little different, but they are of course similar. 70% part of it is similar. What is not included in the ongoing project report but is included in the project completion is the findings. If there were some problems and if you have given solutions, and what is your ultimate accomplishment or achievements. Because in ongoing projects you can't talk about overall achievements. You can talk about the goals only, those you have attained till the date of the project report submission, ongoing project report submission. Okay, but in the project completion report you have to justify the fact that you have accomplished all the goals those you have mentioned at the beginning of the project itself, project proposal. So before you write project report, of course, when you plan for a project, you first step you have to do is giving a project proposal, right? So when you give a project proposal, there itself you talk about the aims and objectives of your project, the target audience of your project, why you are doing it for, whom you are doing it for. Okay, and what would be the possible benefit out of it? So you have to justify the amount of energy in the form of human resource and money or infra or equipments is going to be involved. At the same time, you also have to give the justification for the timeline or the investment of the time that will be there in that project. So everything, all these things come there in the project proposal step itself. Same thing is reflected here in the project report, where why you write that repetitively here in the project report. So at the end, when a new person is reading the whole project report, who was not involved in the proposal state, will understand what are the goals, who are the targets for this, why this project has been undertaken, and what are the possible benefits, what were the possible benefits in mind before starting this project, and if those aims and the benefits are fulfilled or are completed through this overall projects, that is scrutinized through the findings or the ultimate results and the conclusion of the project report. That is why these two primary goals are there for which we write project reports. Now, as a teacher, where do you need all these things? Now, you may have to write project reports for your subjects also, if you are teaching certain subject. Second thing, you also have to write project report about if you have undertaken certain research project, as it is an obligatory part of IQAC or research and R&D, research and development. So every teacher have to go for certain project. You have to apply for various fundings. You have to conduct some projects, and then you there are some government NGOs, non-government agencies which give fundings for certain projects. So you keep on doing research, you apply for those projects, and then ultimately when you get the project, you have to keep telling about the progress to those who have invested in it. Now, again, I am repetitively telling the same thing. When I say investment, doesn't mean only money. Investment is always in various forms like human resource, infrastructure, equipments, time, energy. All these are also investments, right? So this project involves everything. So it is a responsibility of us also to let those understand who are indirectly connected, who are not there on field or not directly involved in the project, to understand and justify the work and the progress that we have been doing. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so this is the target audience for whom we do write project. As I told you, I have considered here some industry perspective, academic perspective, student perspective, teacher perspective, and stakeholder perspective also. Okay, so who we write these project reports for? So we write these project reports for the stakeholders who need the status report to stay in the loop and align with the other team members also. So these stakeholders may also have the representatives of their own who will read the reports or who will always stay connected with you and keep on checking if the energy is invested in the proper way, if the project is on track or not, and to understand if their stake is correct or not, right? So as I told you, the stakeholders are various, like parents, investors, authorities, or other your connected or partner universities or industries, maybe any. Okay, then comes project team. Your whole team should also know what is the current status of your project. Understand there involves multiple people in the project. Okay, and not necessary, and there are again various teams also. Teams divided into small sub teams in order to execute the task within a small frame of time and in the effective way, right? So these small teams are not every time connected with each other to understand what is going on. To help them, help all the scattered team members understand what is happening overall in the summary form, in one line form, on a piece of page, so they will get overall understanding about the status, progress, about the project. This document will be very helpful for them. So on the single line itself, they will understand when it started, what we have done, what we have contributed, if there are any loopholes remain, what are those, why are those, then how can we work on those, so in order to fulfill those gaps, so so we can help the project to progress and help it to go ahead and help other teams also, because these teams are most of the times interdependent, right? If one team is asked to collect the data and second team is supposed to do the analysis of the data, team number 2 is always waiting for the data to be received from the team number 1, right? Unless and until team number 1 gives the data to the team number 2, they are not able to do the analysis. On the basis of analysis, the third team is going to have the conclusions, and on the basis of the conclusion, fourth team is going to decide if we are going to invest in it or not. If yes, then how much. So these teams are again interdependent on each other. So whenever they are doing particular dedicated task, they are not involved in other tasks at that time. So it's very easy for them to understand the works progress of other teams also, and how those are again connected back to the main backbone line of it. So that is why this project report is a backbone of the project. which is single, and that is why your project is standing straight. So many times when there are hurdles, wherever meetings are not possible, right? When one-on-one conversation or one-on-one meetings, face-to-face meetings, even online meetings, let's say, are not possible, right? So that if the mass is larger, for example, thousands of people involved in it, and they are also scattered everywhere, then you better write this project progress report, so everybody will get a knack of it, hand of it, that what is going on, and then if there are issues, then they can also start working on it. They will understand their own roles and responsibilities, and it's a kind of a very positive feedback also for them. So to see project report itself, though it's ongoing or a final project report, it's a source of accomplishment for them. They will understand what they have achieved, and when you see your achievements, you will always feel delighted and motivated to work better, right? So that is why project team is also one of the target audience for the project report. Then project sponsors. If government agency, non-government agencies, NGOs, let's say, or some other third party is sponsoring your project by giving you funding or infra or equipment or HR, let's say human resource or any other kind of support, these people also need to know the team involved in it, and the kind of progress that you have done in it. So the project status report to provide necessary guidance and resources to the team and managers who are sponsors and the team members also. Leadership uses project status report to stay apprised of the project's process, because these leaders are ultimately responsible for the completion and accomplishment, achievement, and the success of the project. So it is highly needed for them to understand the ongoing process, ongoing progress, also to understand if there are any deficiency in it, if something is going wrong there, so they can in time start working on it, immediately fix it up, so other teams may not affect or collapse because of it, and the work will be always in progress. So it's a very kind of bigger responsibility to the leader. And then for leader, this document is very helpful to connect back immediately to the project and the progress of the project within a very short frame of time. The finance team uses the project status report to determine areas that need funding allocation and to avoid potential cost overruns. Because in certain sections, they may not need extra amount spending. Because see what happens, in the proposal state, we always have tentative understanding about something. So not necessarily everything that we have said in the proposal state will be followed as it is. See, the project execution is always flexible. So some things which are, let's say, people have said that in infra we are going to spend 50,000 bucks, but in reality, some have sponsored you infrastructure or given you venue to conduct your project, so you don't need that cost now. So you can divert that cost to other areas of your project, right? So this cost is saved, and in other areas you can then spend better. For example, you need more people, so you can hire more people, so you can finish your project before the deadline itself. So if you have 8 months timeline decided, if you take extra people, you can finish it into 6 months or 5 months or something like that, if you have extra money at hand. So this finance team also keep on deciding if money is spent in the correct way, there should not be any overrunning of the cost. At the same time, wherever needed, they can do cost cutting also. At the same time, they will also divert the funding in the correct way to the correct direction also. That's why this project report is useful for them. Contractors can see the project's priorities and timeline and allocated time resources accordingly. Because for some projects, we rely on some outside agency outsourcing the human resource, let's say. So these contractors also understand the nature and the size of the project, and according to that, they can suggest you or give you the correct or efficient kind of human resource for that. Project management uses the status report to produce report manager reports on their department's progress. So this project management team, project manager also, or the leader, let's say, have to present the progress of the project. At the same time, if the project is completed, then overall success of the project to the stakeholders or to the management or the authorities, higher authorities, right? So for them, this report is highly crucial. Next slide, please. So in this way, this project report is useful for various people. Now, once again, I'm telling, being teacher, you may need it for various purposes like managing the project report for your own teaching, or might be for the benefit of the students, or understanding the work of the department, departmental progress. Now under project report may also have annual reports also. Now it's little surprising for you, for some of you, how annual reports might be the project reports. See, if you have initiated department or some courses in your department, let's say, then having understanding overall progress, successful execution, how much you have, how you have executed those program, what were the loopholes, what was the feedback of students, teachers, if that had gone conducted in a proper way or not. Everything that comes under the annual report, and it's also a sort of project also for some departments to do the pilot study based on, or to start some pilot projects or certification or degrees also, for experimental basis. For them also, this project report is also will be helpful. So why is it needed then? Centralization. Project report helps us to centralize the data. There are some tools also available. A lot of websites or lot of softwares are there, which will be beneficial for you to very effectively write and present project reports in an effective way, so especially when there comes the numerical data or quantitative data. So you can present those data in graphs, charts, or in tables also. So these will be helpful. So this is helpful for the centralization. It is also very helpful for effective tracking. So you can monitor, or others can monitor, every phase of your project. So that is very helpful for the project management. So others also who are not directly involved but indirectly connected to your project will have very effective tracking of the project of progress of your project. It also very helpful for the risk identification. Might be those who are involved in the project, they may not see some hurdles those are coming ahead because they are very busy or equipped with the task at the hand. But the one who is analyzing the progress of the project may guess or may see some kind of hurdles those will be forthcoming or may come later in future. So they will spot those potential risks early in advance and allow the proactive management. So they may come out with certain strategies which will be helpful for the team members and the project members to avoid those risks, because those risks may incur lot of cost, financial and non-financial also. And there are certain reasons also, these are certain reasons why some projects also fail, if they fail to understand or identify the forthcoming risk also or hurdles also. Now understand, when you write a project proposal or when you initiate a project, some of the factors or some of the risks you may not think of. They happen automatically in the flow of ongoing project. It may happen due to, and there are several on the spot reasons. For example, natural calamity, or some different kind of disaster, or some financial or some human resource related drawback or something like that. If there are some last minute changes suddenly happen in the project, then the progress definitely will affect, right? So this risk management is always important, and this is why we have to write the project report. Stakeholders communication. Keep all stakeholders in the loop with real-time updates and comprehensive reports. Thereafter, for the data visualization, project reports are essential. So utilize features like Power BI to transform raw data into insightful visuals, aiding in better decision making. So these are certain things you can use. Definitely, you can present your data in very creative and effective way. So which will be very easy to understand rather than reading 2 3 pages of numbers. If you present it in the graph form or in a chart form, it will be very easy to have a summarize understanding about that, so the next person will easily have a decision on it. Depending on organizational need, create specialized reports that offer in-depth analysis and recommendations upon project completion. Okay, so this is custom report. So you can customize your reports according to the various needs of the target audience. Next slide, please. So these are certain steps involved in writing the project report, like objectives. What are your objectives? Who is the target of your this reader of your project report? Then designing of it. Designing means presenting your data in a very logical form, making sections, subsections, using graphs, charts, tables, pictures wherever needed. If your project is on field project, then you can show before and after pictures also. Then you can talk about strategies. If you find certain problems, you can write about the statement of problem, and then how to resolve this. You can give solutions also about that if you find certain issues. Yeah, or you can find certain hurdles in your project. Okay, then launching of your project, how successfully you can launch the project and execute and complete it out. So you can talk about those also in the last section, in the concludatory sections. Next slide, please. So these are certain steps involved in the format of the project. So these are certain points which you have to include if you are writing the project report in reality. Till now, we have understood why you should write it, who is your target audience, what are the benefits, and why it helps or how it works, for the completion or smooth running of your project. Now let us understand how to craft your project report. Now, very important point I would like to make clear at the beginning itself before we start crafting it out or understanding how to craft. That is very flexible. According to, again, the nature and size of the project, need of the target audience, you can add on some other points or you can delete some of the points mentioned here. Okay. But some points which are very common, I have brought it forth, and you have to consider those. For example, objectives, target audience, outline, and so on. So define your objective very clearly. Clearly state the purpose of the report and explain why is it necessary, why your project is necessary, and how will it benefit, and who will be benefited by that. So refining your objectives and provided smart goal examples can help you stay focused while writing and keep those reading the report engaged. So Anne has come mistakenly. So the report readers also will stay engaged because they will cross check if your objectives are meeting through your progress of the project or not. Have your audience in mind before crafting the report. So when writing project reports, tailor the content and your tone of voice to the audience as much as possible. So make it easy for the readers to understand. Do not make it complicated. You are from the technical background and the next person may not be. For example, the fund provider, the funder may not be expert in your subject. Okay, so to help that person understand, you have to tone down your write-up. Use impactful graphics, important data to connect with the people who will be reading this report. Because this graphics, data presentation in the proper way makes your report very impactful. It makes creative also, but very impactful. So the next person will get immediate understanding about the numerical data, the amount of odd numbers those are involved in it in a very quick time and in a very effective way. So there are very less possibilities of any kind of misunderstanding or loss of information. Before you start writing, first create a list of all the sections in your report. So you can take a piece of page and write down on it what are the points you have to include in your report. Okay, for example, aims and objectives, then team members, roles and responsibilities, the costs involved in it, how you have divided the cost, I mean funding, the funding agency, resources involved in it. Thereafter, overall progress, the start date, end date. Then in that, what are the progresses you have done monthly, day wise, or weekly or something like that, according to the size and timeline of the project. Then what are the kind of outcomes you had thereafter, how those were beneficial, what are the hurdles you faced, what were the possible solutions, how you resolve those. If the project failed or stopped somewhere, then you can talk about that, and then you can talk about some strategies to overcome it, or you can open some topic for discussion in order to invite the suggestions from the readers, because these readers involve leaders, team members, stakeholders, the project management, and so on. So they will also help you out in order for resolving the project that has been stuck somewhere. Always, and then if once you have written all these points, then you can identify and decide the sequence. This will go first, then will come this, then will come next point. So you have to give a logical order to all this, and then you have to start drafting your project report. Always make sure, understand this is a very formal document used for official purpose. So don't just write down and immediately send it out. Take your sweet time. Please take a breath and then make it a point to redraft it, recorrect it if needed, read it thoroughly, take suggestions from others, get it peer reviewed, get reviewed from your other colleagues or other students also, other team members. Ask them if anything else is needed to be added in it, if all in the data information has been put in the correct way or not, if there is something wrong written in it, if there is some loss of information or wrong information has been passed on. Because I understand next person, reader, the large community is going to depend on the way you present or execute the oral presentation of your report, because you are representing your report, project through this report. So they are going to depend on whatever you have portrayed here in the form of a report. So they are going to have that imaginative kind of imagination based on your report, and they will have their own conclusion. And your report, their conclusions, their imaginations are going to impact the decision making. That is why this is a very responsible document. So after your outline and analysis, you can start a rough draft. As name suggests, it doesn't need to be perfect. It is just a report. It can be flexible. There might be some information which may not be possible to add because this is limited in size. This is not a size of a book. Project report runs into only few pages. Again, depending on the size and the nature of your project, the report size varies. It may be 2-3 pages to 30 pages long also, but definitely not a book or a thesis which you are going to write. Understand. Next slide, please. So you always have to take a time to proof check your document before you finalize it out. I think you have run 2 slides. Just one slide. Define your objectives. We have done it. Next slide, please. Fine tune your analysis. As time permits and the new information comes in, fill in data gaps or highlight any current or potential issues you find. So you can use highlighters, you can bold the text, you can give some other colors, use the finding section to focus on the values and make clear any limitations of the analysis, because it may not be possible to involve all the possible angles. So at the beginning itself, you can write under the scope and limitation also. And even in the finding section, you can say that this report is focused only on the conclusions based on only this data collection or only this perspective. So make it clear. So that will be the limitation. So if the stakeholder needs more information, they will reach to the concerned team. Okay. Recommend next step. If you once you have completed your data analysis, you will be able to propose actionable ideas for the project's mutual desired outcome. Okay, it happens, especially this particular point is very important, especially in the ongoing project report. The more solid your analysis and findings are, the more credible your project reports will be. And that will be beneficial for successful accomplishment of the project. Polish for distribution. Before you send your report, proofread for grammar, spelling, typos, so that your final document looks as professional as possible. If you are sending the report in a group email, keep an eye on the final file size also, because in certain cases, if your file size exceeds, Gmail cuts it into pieces or it may not go, and only draft of your mail will go, content body of the mail will go without any attachment. So don't do that mistake. If you are sending it to some very responsible authority, then always have a pilot email check by sending your email report to your friend or your colleague. So if it works properly, then you can draft separate email to send them out. Yeah, go to the next slide, please. So these are certain points which are included in drafting of the report. What to include in the project status report? So what are the other things which are very crucial and has to come? We have seen the outline, how to outline your project report. Now we'll see about some contents here. Always give the executive summary, because again, according to the and position of the reader, they will entertain your report. If the reader is directly connected or has major role to play with your project, for example, the funder who has given fund or something, they will read each and every step of the report in detail. But they may not pay attention to who are the team members, their names, what are their roles, and how much their qualifications, something that may not interest them much. Okay, what will interest them much is how you have spent money, how you have invested, and then they will try to guess if this is going to bring some benefits out or not. The considered benefits before the beginning of the project. In your proposal state, you might have written about the tentative benefits in hypothesis itself. So if you are wondering how to write a report about a project, start with an executive summary. Short overviews provide the reader with the essential takeaways from the report without having to read all the project details. So some people will read just summaries and they will not much be interested in whole report itself. So executive summaries are very helpful for those who need a quick glance at the project's general direction without wasting time in reading the whole data altogether. Project progress. So in the project status report, the project progress section is tracked with the real metrics. This provides an overview of the project status, budget, and also identifies potential risk and issues. This data-driven approach provides project management with feedback and enable them to make adjustment if needed. So they can help in avoiding the future blocks or some risk also, which may cost a lot. So if it happens in advance, then they will remove those blocks so they can save time, money, and energy also. It will not go waste. Resources. It's important to document all the resources you had mapped out in the project plan. What do you have left still available? So something that you have not completed, how much money is left with you, how much infra or equipments you have not used yet, and what are your possible uses of those. What have you used and found insufficient? If you need anything extra, See, project status report also is written if you are falling short of equipments, money, or HR and time. So you can ask for more through that. And through your report, you can give justification why you need that extra and how is it important to get those fundings or assistance in order to complete the project. Of what resources do you need more? This can include project management tools, physical resources like software or PDF, but also human resources also. Okay, you can also talk about timeline and targets also. How much time you considered before starting the projects? Are you running with the time or running ahead of the time or running back of the time? If time is falling short to you, you might have decided some short goals and longer goals, right? So have you achieved those short goals or targets in the decided or considered time? So you can talk about this in the timeline and targets. You can also talk about team performance. So who are team members, what are their roles, how much you have paid, or what are they are incurred with, and then how team is working. If you are finding any challenges, you can write about those also. If you have overcome those challenges, you can talk about those also in the team performance section. And if you are not able to resolve certain issues, then you can talk about this, so in order to open that topic for the discussion and asking for solutions. Then risk management. Risk management comes both risk those you have resolved and overcome, and risk those might come or you are facing and not able to resolve. Then notable changes. So before you start the project or from day one till now, whatever day it is when you are submitting this project, what are the notable changes happened? You can list them down under the notable changes. Then funding and budget. This section is very important if your project involves any funding or had some budget, because you have to give a good justification. This goes in audit also. So this section is very important where you have to talk about how much budget you received or how much budget you asked for, how much you have received, and how you are spending that, how you have diverted that money. Might be you are spending on team by giving salary to people, or daily wages to people, or buying some equipments or renting some equipment, something like that, or traveling and other expenses, food or stay, or might be anything. So you have to give justification to all these things. Next slide, please. So in this way, all these things are involved under the this project overview altogether. Now, here are some templates I have randomly brought for you. As I told you, this is a very flexible document. It depends on the size and the nature of the project. At the same time, need of your readers. If they want the project report to be in one page, quickly viewed, then focus more on graphs, charts, and tables, because this numerical data will be presented very effectively in a very less span of a page. Okay. If they need a lengthy and a very well detailed project report, then you can go for the first one, where you can talk about objectives and then executive summary, scope and limitation, target audience, or possible benefits, whatever it is, or what are the benefits, team members, funding details, and expenses details, and everything. So, at some places, if you have taken funding from some government agency, then they have some templates available or samples available. So you can request those samples, because they need that data for their collection, for the audit, the record maintenance. So they need in only that strict formats. So you better take formats from them, and then maintain your data in that format. Always remember, whenever you undergo or take any project, make sure that you are collecting and noting down each and every possible and all important information. Wherever on a piece of paper, you maintain a diary, or may you maintain Excel for that, or you write it in Google Drive. It's your choice. But whatever document you are maintaining all data in, carry that document always and every day with you, everywhere you go, from day one till the last day of your project, because you will keep on adding all the essential details. Make one column which will be miscellaneous in your document, where you will write all the information which is not related under one particular topic. So later on, whenever you get time, you can decide under which section you can move this particular information or this data. So you will not have any loss of information. You will give all the possible details, all the in a very best possible, a picture in the very best possible way to the next person who is reading your project report. So you can write this project report in this type of varieties also. Next slide, please. So this is it. It again, as I told you, understand before you begin for your project writing itself. Always remember to first, I mean, there are some, this is concluded note, some kind of must do things or calculations that you have to do before you start writing your project report. Whom you are writing this for? Who is your target audience? Nature and size of your project, timeline that is incurred in it, cost and other energy involved in it. Okay. Then elements which you are going to highlight in it, and the need or requirement of your target audience. Understand, keep these things in mind. Very important thing that goes along with this is objectives or goals of your project and fulfillments, that is accomplishments. Understand, keep these things in mind, then make an outline, only raw structure skeleton of it. Restructure that skeleton in a very logical sequence. Arrange the data in a logical sequence. First point, executive summary. First will introduction, then we'll go executive summary, then we'll go objectives, then we'll go problem statement if there is any, then we'll go team members, cost, funding, budget included, how that is diverted, the progress of the project, right? And then other details will come one by one, kind of achievements you had or fulfillment you had, um, or results and discussions and findings, and benefits you received from the project. All these things will come after that. So in this way, you have to arrange the sequence first, the broader titles first, and then you start writing one by one. Before that, your data collection has to be ready. Wherever it is possible, think if you can present this data in a shortest way and most effective way. Wherever possible, add data, this charts, pie charts, graphs, tables, or any other effective ways of presenting data. These are certain things which are very essential. Never ever forget to conclude your project report. Always have a conclusion section where you will revise or highlight all the important points from your project, all the important achievements. In this way, your project report will be completed. Thank you very much. And I open the session now for discussion. If you have any